Hello, everybody. Guys, please confirm if I'm clearly audible, screen visible, and moving. It should not be still. Very fine. Seems everything in place. Awesome. Yesterday we installed R and R Studio, the CAN R project, the R Studio. Here, if you have walked through the installations, if you have done it right, so you must be seeing there is R software here in your programs list. You see, there is R and there are two icons of R like this. Just see, maybe you don't have to open it, that I'll show. You don't have to work in R actually. We will work in R via R Studio. So this is in place. So I'm just showing you, just for the sake of showing you. This is the interface of R, which looks like, and this is the place where you write your code. Whatever you are writing. So that is the way it is. But on my screen, you can see if you want to give it a try, maybe you can open in your machine. You will see that this is not, very friendly or it is a boring looking interface actually, if I say it. So we will see in subsequent sessions a few more reasons why we prefer RStudio. Again, check your program list. There should be RStudio now here. Just like we were saying R, there is RStudio, and it is this kind of icon. Let's open RStudio, and yeah, maybe you can open along with me. So this time we see this kind of three different panes on our screen. This one is console. This is the place where we write our codes. For example, anything. Whatever you want to write. You write your code and its results are printed over here. Okay, so this is console portion. We call it console. So that's one pane. Within this pane, there are multiple tabs. We will come to that later. So for now, let's stick to console. So that is the major utility of this pane. We write our code is executed, and we can see the result if it is printing something. Then this is environment. Environment, see, R will analyze only that data. R will take into account only that data which is in the environment. Okay, it doesn't know what are the data sets sitting over in your machine. Okay. Within environment, you see history tab. There is history. And if I click on history, what do we see? I'm just seeing the history of my executions, the commands which I have executed so far. So is it useful? Yes, it comes in handy many a times when I am writing long codes of maybe 1000 line and 1200 lines. So maybe I would need to check somewhere that what has been the sequence of my code, in what sequence I have run. So you can have a look back and you can see the history. Then there are further tabs, connections and tutorials. So not going there. Connections are used to connect our studio to cloud or server and that kind of thing. So that is a distant skill. Then there is the third pane here down below. Again, it contains multiple tabs, files, plots, packages, help, view. So again, several options, and we will see what all they mean along with time. Coming back, this showing 1 in a square bracket, this means the output is just one element. There can be multiple elements depending upon your code. We will see that these things will keep coming in. They will keep popping in one after the other. Now there is something you might have heard of this, that uh, see, the problem with when I execute something, I write a code. I have written this code, it ran in console and it has given the output, and this is what. I don't want my code to be like this. I want my code to be scalable, reusable. Okay, reusable in the sense, suppose if I have to write 2000 lines of code, I cannot write that in one setting. No, maybe I have to send this code to somebody. So that is scalability. So that is why we just don't want that this code is, I will type, it will execute and game over. I want my code to be reused. So that's where the script comes in. So for now, there is fourth window possible. You click on this green plus sign here on the top right corner, and it gives you option of script files. So there are several options within a script file. There could be a notebook, there could be a markdown. We will explore that later. You see, there can be C file and Python script also. So not going there, that you can explore on your own later. For now, let's stick to our scripts. When I do that, so now there are four windows, and there is a window which is a script file. It is just like a Word document or Notepad document where I can type my whatever I want to write. This is it. This is it. This is it. Whatever. Just to save you the trouble, open a script file and here in the chat box, copy paste these three calculations. So now you will see if you type and enter, it is not working. Here enter is not working. Enter is going to next line as it does in our Word document. So the key is not enter, the key is control enter. Either you can execute whatever function you have written from this run button. How it will work is your cursor should be within this line. Now it doesn't matter whether the cursor is in a starting or end or in middle, it should be in the line you want to execute. And then you press this run button. If you hover over it, it will give you the shorthand also, and popularly that's what you are going to use very soon enough, the control enter. Same result. The command is executed, I can see the result. The command is executed, I can see the result. If I want to execute multiple commands, I can do it this way. I can select all the lines which I want to execute and control enter. So all of them are executed. Now we came to this place because of the scalability. So where is the scale? Here is the scale. Your popular control S. Control S. What does it do? What does it do? Control S. It is universal shorthand for saving your script. Yes, saving the file. So you can choose it from file also if there is option save or anything, or you can directly place that control S and it will pop up where you want to save your file. I am saying desktop. Okay, let's save. I'm calling it my code one and save. Now, even if I just oh, what should have happened, that has happened. My file is saved on my desktop and it is available for further use. I can attach it to mail and send you. I can drop it in the WhatsApp chat box. I can do whatever I want. Maybe I can open it again and maybe I will edit something, add some new functions and new commands, new code. Here, let's keep on building. Okay, so far so good. Tell me if you have heard of this. There is a phrase which comes time and again, and it is very popular that people tell it that R and Python. There is a reason that these two languages are very popular in field of data science and machine learning. They say that these are interactive languages. Heard of this? Heard of this phrase, interactive language? Have heard somebody say it, that Python is interactive language or R is interactive language? We are calling it interactive. Reason because just what you have seen just now. Those who have had taste of C or C++, they know it. Anji, how did you program in C? You will write entire code, maybe of 2000 lines or maybe 5000 lines, and then you will execute it, and then it will throw you 50 errors when you are compiling actually. Now, yes, now it is your job to go and eradicate them, look for them, and correct them. What a headache. Remember? It used to be. What's happening? What you have just seen. You have written one line of code, executed. You can just see whether it is working or not. You can go to second line, execute, see whether it is working or not. Maybe I have done something wrong. Maybe I have done something wrong. Okay, I have to work hard to make something wrong. But maybe if I have done something wrong, I wanted to add put some function name, or maybe I have done something syntax error or something. In the same line, it is going to throw me error. Maybe I can have a closer look and maybe I can correct it then and there. Aditya, okay, give me a moment, Aditya. So that's fine. Further ahead, you will see many things which I will try to communicate with you. That's why interactive. You see here itself, it is trying to help you. In the line where I am doing a mistake, I'm making a mistake, it is going this little cross sign. Maybe you can try that if you want to do it. It is this gentleman is trying to convey it to me that you are doing something wrong in this particular line of code. Please have a closer look. Anyway, it is going to throw error. Okay, sounds like a good thing. Nikhil, maybe you have not saved your script files so far. See, some things will work when they are in a particular one particular order. So once your file is saved, then these things will happen. Okay. Let's start some coding now. What I'll do is for initial couple of sessions, you will not type entire thing. Okay, I'll copy paste just like we did recently. I'll drop that in the chat box. You will copy paste and run it, and we'll try to get a feel of it. But after one or two sessions for basics, you will start coding by yourself. Sounds fair? So open a new script file, save it with maybe number them 01, 02, 03, so that you remember in what sequence they are there. Create a folder and start saving these files. So here are some things. Here in the chat box, copy paste this and run and tell me you must be getting this all. Word format. Why word format? You are not having your machine yet, Monarch? Monarch, don't you have your machine ready still? Oh. Okay, no problem. I'll share you in that, in the mail script. I'll mail you. You can run it later on. I'm still wondering what kind of damage you have done to it that it is it is still on repair. Okay, I hope others have run it and there is no particular tricky thing here. First things to notice, the hash sign. We already know what does it do. Yes, so it is working as good as it used to work in SQL, and the same will go for Python also, and maybe same will go for Hadoop also. So this is just a comment. Whatever is after the hash sign, R will not mind it. It is just a comment for sake of my convenience so that I can recall what I was doing here. Then there are simple arithmetic functions, plus, minus, multiplication, division, something interesting. Remember the board mass rule? Remember the board mass rule? Everybody? Which standard it was? 5th, 6th, 7th? When it came first across us? So yes, R also knows it all the same. So first bracket will be solved. What should be the answer of this highlighted one? What it should be? 0.5, 0.6, 1. Board mass people, brackets will be solved first, and if you pay attention, the parentheses, you see, are now coding languages do not use brackets like we used in maths. That somewhere we are using parentheses, somewhere there is curly braces.